got a package from UPS and they punched through the fragile sticker. Absolute morons.
Dude, that's a new feature from UPS. They're called speed holes. They make the package arrive faster. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to episode number 286 of SMG Viewers Comments, my weekly show where I try and answer your comments and questions about home recording to the best of my ability. You got something you want to know? Leave a comment below. If it's cool, if I think it'll benefit the community as a whole, I'll be more than happy to answer. That being said, let's get right to it.
Good! You always complain about bands sounding the same these days with drum samples, etc. Are there any bands you point to that have a killer unique sound these days that you dig? Cheers from Australia and fuck you, Glenn!
Yeah, actually the one band I've been listening to a little bit, they're kind of like in the stoner genre, is a group called Old Blood. They're a little bit Black Sabbath-y, but with some keyboards and a girl on vocals. I caught their show in LA about a year and a half ago, and they really blew me away. They were really something live. Now, the song I really dig from them is something called Silk Road Rash, and you can tell this was recorded off the floor because the drummer's kind of a little out of time in spots, but that's fine because the track grooves like a moose, and I think we need more of that and a little less perfection.
Why is it that I hear bad decisions in my mixing only after rendering it out and listening to it later? Sometimes even only after uploading it on social media. Is it because of fatigued ears and mind?
Yes, that and familiarity breeds contempt. If you've been listening to something for 8 hours straight, you're going to lose your objectivity. And that's why it's important to take breaks. I like to go take a nap every afternoon and come back and listen to things with fresh ears and go, okay, did I get this right or get not? I mean, I've been doing this long enough, so if I'm working on a mix in a video and I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can take this any further, it's like, okay, you know what? I'll go sleep on it. I'll listen to it in the morning with fresh ears and hopefully get a new perspective on things. George Lucas showed his friends the first draft for Star Wars and they all hated him, like, what is this piece of shit? And it wasn't until he got input from other people that he was able to craft a film that would be renowned throughout the ages as being utterly groundbreaking and magnificent. Sometimes talking to your friends and having them critique your work can be the biggest benefit because a second set of ears can really help keep you grounded. So my suggestion would be, don't just be happy with what you're doing. Talk to your friends, see what they got to say. Myself, personally, if I'm working on a mix for review for an amp or something like that, I'll send it out to a couple trusted sets of ears and go, what do you guys think? Give me some feedback. I can only recommend doing the same.
Glenn, what's your opinion on people crafting their tones after their favorite musicians?
I think that's absolutely fine as a starting place. I mean, like, I obsessed over the Clayman tone for years and years and years, and once I finally figured out how to do it, I'd kind of moved on to my own thing because I find that a little more interesting. And that's the thing. Bob Marlette said this in the interview I did with him a while back, is that it used to be bands were trying to not sound like each other, like they were trying to find their own thing. It seems like a lot of it these days, everybody's kind of happy with the Mesa Cab, SM57, 5150 sound. It winds up on an awful lot of records because it works and it's easy. Fewer musicians are kind of pushing things in their own direction. I think that's kind of sad. I was just talking with the folks over at Eminence though, and we're going to try and get some of those Slipknot speakers in and hopefully get to demo those at some point. I think those are going to be a very cool direction to go in terms of guitar tone. That and the new Amperian speakers are coming out as well. Those are great for high gain tones. The great thing is we don't have to stop with what works. We can push forward. I'd recommend to all you guys out there, try and find your own thing.
So, would you choose this compressor over a very well-modeled plugin of a very expensive compressor?
Oh, you're talking about the Art Pro VLA2 that I've still got in the rack over here and that I still use quite a bit. Yes, it is fantastic. The thing is, different compressors have their own sounds. I really need to do that episode and show you guys what a VCA versus a tube compressor sounds like, or even a FET type compressor, because they all have their own little signature sounds and you can use them on different sources. You know, some plug-in compressors are awesome, but you don't want to use them on every single track. You want to mix it up a little bit so the tracks will work better together. And that's ultimately what you're going to want. The cool thing about the Pro VLA is you're probably only going to have one of them, so it's only going to wind up on one track instead of having the exact same thing all throughout your mix. Might want to try it out. Might be exactly the sort of thing you're looking for. The great thing is it's affordable.
Glenn, no hate here, but you don't know how to play a guitar. At least not at a level enough to review an amp. Get someone to support you with your guitar playing. This is really jeopardizing the perception of the amp. Again, not trying to be a dick.
I believe you're referencing my Rev Generator Mark III video. You know, the one where I had Eric Arco play on the video? I don't know. Here's an odd suggestion. Try watching the video before commenting. I know you're not trying to be a dick, but seriously, dude, try a little harder.
As much as you beg on bass players who need to hold a tight connection rhythm-wise with the drummer, I'd hope you're at least a competent rhythm player, but nope, no you aren't. Dude, get some new comedy material and practice what you preach. It's testament sense.
You know, I had a nice snarky comeback all planned out for this part, but honestly, I think this next comment kind of says it all.
For all the people criticizing Glenn for not having godlike riffs, that's not what he does for a living. It's mixing music, not making it. Hope you can figure out the difference once you stop eating the kindergarten paste. I'm curious what a metal mixing recording engineer has to think about using ribbon mics on overheads. A nice pair of Coles is my way to go to. I've had beautiful results in an R&B/rock setting. I love how well they pick up the whole kit. Happy holidays and fuck you from the bipolar tundra that is Chicago.
Chicago, you guys have great pizza. I hope I get to visit again sometime in the next year or two once this whole fucking 2020 thing ends. As for your question about ribbons, I've recorded with some Coles ribbons before. I did on the Vias record and that Protocol project I did, the mixing symphonic folk metal. But I use them on room mics as opposed to overheads. I tend to prefer small diaphragm condensers for that particular application. My personal favorites are the Earthworks SR25s, but this is for metal, so we need something maybe a little bit faster than a ribbon mic. Jazz, rock, absolutely, you can get away with ribbons, but for the more precise metal shit, might need a slightly more precise mic. That being said, the Coles are amazing mics, and if you're gonna do a metal suggestion, please try them out on a room first. You might just like the way they sound.
Glenn, wow, that drum mix was amazing. I loved the nice snappy snare that didn't drown out all the other parts of the kit. Keep up the good work and fuck you from the United Kingdom.
Are you referencing my video on the More GE Labs application? That was Jackson Ward who recorded those drums. I merely mixed them. Was trying a few ideas though, wanted to get a tighter sound on the kit, so I was using a shorter reverb and using some slightly different compression on the snare. And yeah, I really liked how that snare turned out. It sounded like this. And once again, that guitar tone was done using only an iPad and an app, and I actually sampled my Soldano amp for that. So that's really cool. The cool thing is it's absolutely free. If you guys haven't grabbed a copy of GE Labs or more, I'd really recommend it. And no, they're not paying me to say that in this video. I genuinely think it's a really great application.
Goddamn, Glenn, answer questions, not feed trolls.
Oh, where's the joy in that? Come on, man. It's fun infuriating those people. Seriously, though, if you got an honest question about recording or mixing, that kind of thing, I'd love to answer it. All you got to do is leave one below.
About that last point about cars, any recommendation for someone who doesn't have a car? Would a set of old and cheap speakers do a similar trick?
You're talking about the thing I mention all the time is the car mix. Test your mix out in a car. Get it out there in the real world. What I'm saying really is get out of your studio, because that might not be a great acoustic environment. If you can find an old boombox and play your mix off that, take it outside and listen to it in a space where you don't have room for the sound to bounce around up. Now, I'm going to do a video in the future and explain to you guys why you should be listening to your mixes in a car and the physics behind it, because it does make an awful lot of sense. In the meantime, though, yeah, try an old set of speakers, but try it somewhere else other than your mix room, because you're going to need another point of reference. Good luck, man.
Hey Glenn, if I wanted to record two separate amps or amp sims and then blend them together, should I process the guitar tracks as amp 1 bus and amp 2 bus and blend those, or just dump all the tracks into guitar bus, set the levels, and process all of them together?
I kind of would prefer the latter method, where you just dump all the guitar tracks into a single bus and process it as a whole. It just speeds things up. I use that on kick and snare all the time, because I'll have, 2 or 3 mics on the snare, 2 or 3 mics on the kick, and then treat them all as one. There's absolutely no reason you can't do the same thing with the guitar. It's just get all your tracks into a folder there, set your levels so you like the blend of the 2 different amps, and then process it as a whole. It's probably going to save you an awful lot of time.
Glenn, would you be interested in mixing jazz? If so, how different would your personal approach be from mixing metal?
I'd love to do a jazz project at some time. The approach would be a lot more hands-off, because with jazz, you don't want to fuck with the performances. The whole idea behind jazz is to set the mics up and let the musicians do their thing. All you got to do is get the mics into the right place and hit record and just try and stay awake.
Hey Glenn, I'm getting into recording at home just for writing a song. My current laptop is 8 years old and it works like old people fuck. I need to upgrade. What laptops do you recommend, or even computers at an affordable, reasonable price? I don't need anything fancy, just something that'll work. Hope you find the time to respond with your recommendations. Nolan from the UK.
Dude, I love that analogy about old people. I am totally stealing that. Thanks for that. Seriously though, I've had a lot of luck with the slick audio stuff, but then again, this is like a $4,000 laptop and is tweaked out like you wouldn't believe. Thing is though, I had an old Asus Republic of Gamers PC that I bought back in 2012. For audio mixing, it's absolutely fine. Maybe find a used one of those from the last couple of years. You really shouldn't have to spend an awful lot of money to get a laptop that's going to perform well for audio production. If you want to do video editing, especially for like 4K footage, something like that, you're going to need a laptop with a lot more muscle. But for audio production, really shouldn't be dropping a crap ton of money. I definitely recommend checking out some of the MSI stuff. They're anything PC based that is like gamer level, it's probably going to do the trick with no problems whatsoever.
Yo, Glenn, I was wondering if you recorded a guitar DI along with an amp, do you connect a wah-wah pedal before or after the DI box? On one hand, it changes the signal, but would you consider that part of the performance since it's very much in-the-moment thing compared to an example of an overdrive pedal or something like that? Oh, and fuck you all the way from Germany.
If I'm recording a DI and there's a wah-wah part, I'll definitely record it with the wah-wah. That way, we're getting what the player's doing. We don't have to fuck with it later. That being said, I remember doing an album sometime around 2010 with a band from Italy. The group was called Krieg. The album was called Humans Need War. And we needed a wah-wah part, and the guitar player didn't record it. So I actually took the DI tracks and played the wah-wah for them. And the band really liked the results. So you can go both ways, but generally, I'd prefer it if the musician does that part instead of me. It just usually winds up going on a lot better.
What's the IR for that Solar Soldano section?
It wasn't an IR, that was a live cabinet with a 3-mic blend. I'm using 2 Lewitt mics. I'm using like the 240 Pure and the 440 snare mic. No, the 440 tom mic, and then an SM58. It's just kind of a blend I put together. Really enjoying the sound. Love the Lewitt condensers. They're dirt cheap and absolutely amazing. And blending a regular instrument dynamic with like a tom mic can go a long way too. If you check out my video, The Greatest Guitar Recording Trick I Ever Learned, I pinched that one from Ulrich Wild. Maybe one day he'll forgive me for doing that. But seriously though, it's a great technique, and that goes all the way back to Dimebag Darrell on Great Southern Trendkill, where you take 2 mics and you blend them on a cheap mixer. I'm kind of doing it in software these days, but the principle is very much the same. Then again, maybe I should do a video breaking down how I got that tone. Would that be something you guys would be interested in seeing? Let me know in the comments below.
All gear blessed by the Dark Lord requires a blood sacrifice.
Oh, you're referencing the Rev Generator Mark III video I did there a couple weeks back where I cut myself while unboxing it. Now, here's the thing. If you're from a different religious persuasion, you can use water that somebody mumbled over that contains fecal matter. That seems to do the exact same thing as a blood sacrifice. And by that, I mean absolutely nothing. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching, subscribing. Do me a favor, give it a share, hit the like button, do the YouTube hokey pokey. Let the algorithm know that you are out there. But most of all, leave a comment or a question because I want to hear from you. Anyway, until next time, get out there and make some metal, you magnificent motherfuckers.